Hi, my name is Frederick and welcome to Thomann's Drum Bash. In this video, it's all about adding electronic drum pads to your acoustic drum set and using the internal sounds from your trigger module. In this case, I'm using a Roland TM6 Pro. Let's go! As we all know, when we're packing our equipment to play a show, we aren't able to bring all the gear we need to play all these different kinds of music during the show. So when it comes to modern drumming, what means playing the nowadays electronic produced music as close as possible to the original, we have to talk about hybrid drumming. But what is hybrid drumming? Hybrid drumming means that you're expanding your drum set with electronical equipment, for example like electronic drum triggers or drum modules, and using computers. So if you want to learn more about this subject, please hit subscribe. Now we are on the drum set and I'm going to show you how I'm setting up the electronic drums for today's song, which is a Latin style pop song. The SPDX is always a great choice when it comes to electronic drums, but most of the time it makes sense to split the pads up. First of all, you have to check out the song because you need to know what sounds you have to put on your electronic drums that you don't have on the acoustic drum set. Then you set up your triggers. So here I have two PDX-6. This one is used for cowbell sounds. The second one I'm using for additional percussion sounds. Then I'm using on the left side of the drum set two BT1 triggers. This one is for kind of hi-hat sound. Second one is for timbale. And then I'm using two triggers for clap sound. This first one is a PD8. And the second one is a dual trigger on the second snare. And last but not least, I have a KT10 on the floor for kind of tom or bass drum sound. And here's step number 3, wiring up your triggers with the module. I have now two drum hacks for you. The first one is, instead of using the standard instrument cables, you can use XLR cables in the size you need, for example short or very long, and use adapter to connect each side of your trigger pad with the module, and then you have again an instrument cable but in the size you need. And the second drum hack is, the TM6 Pro has 6 inputs, but you can do more out of it. You can have 12 inputs by using this Pro Snake TPY 2003 adapter, which allows you to plug in 2 pads into one trigger input. But be aware that you're using the adapter with 2 mono to a stereo jack. Hence your TM6 Pro input is transforming from a dual input to a 2-time single input. The next step is programming your drum module, and we're starting from scratch. We are taking a user kit to make it our own, and the first step is we are renaming the kit. So we are knowing that this kit is the song we're going to play. Press menu, go down to kit common, and to the right side kit name, and rename the kit by using these buttons. Now we are done, and the next step is that we are erasing all the sounds from the user kit. You're pressing menu, go up to instrument, and check out where are already sounds on the TM6. Alright, in this case on pad number 1 and pad number 4. So pad number 1 is quickly done because it's on number 1. We're pressing this and the sound is off. Now, pad number 4, here's a little drum hack again. When you're pressing enter, you are stepping in steps of 10 instead of single steps. So instead of doing this all the time, you're pressing enter and it's much faster. Alright, now all the sounds are off and we can start with our own sounds. Now we have to assign the correct trigger to the input by pressing this button, go to bank, and there you can see all your triggers. For example, when I'm hitting this PDX6, which is input number 6, it's not the correct trigger, so we have to assign the PDX6 to the trigger input number 6. When you're using an adapter to transform your dual input into a 2 single input, make sure you are telling this to your TM6 Pro. So, for example, input number 2 is going to be a 2 single input. This is done by pressing the threshold button, go up and choose the input type from head to rim into 2 pads. And now we have 2 pads we can assign into input number 2. Now we have to find sounds that are fitting to our song. For example, for the KT10, which is on the floor, I want to have a kind of bass drum or floor tom sound that it's fitting perfectly as a kind of auxiliary bass drum to the song. I know my input number 1 is my KT10, so I'm pushing it. And now we have to find a correct sound. Let's try. Let's take this one, and now we're pitching it into the song. With this knob, you can pitch the sounds. And to find the correct pitch, I'm using my toms. Okay, now our bass drum, or how it's here called, 16-inch maple tom sound, is way too long, so with the decay knob we can reduce the decay to make it suitable to our song. And the last step is finding the correct volume. So in this case, I want to have it, as I already said, a kind of bass drum and floor tom additional sound. So let's go. For me, it's way too loud. And here we are. So now you're doing that with all the other triggers to set up the correct sounds fitting to your, in this case, Latin style pop sound. To spice up the samples, you should use effects, and here's how it's done. To add effects, you're pressing menu, go to pad effects, to the right side, MFX, and you have to turn on the effects to hear the effects with this knob. And now you can choose the correct effect you would like to have. In this case, I want to have a reverb. The PDX6 is a dual trigger pad, and I've plugged it into one input of the TM6 Pro to use the head and the rim function. And this pad is used for a cowbell sound in this tune I'm playing today. So I have to make sure that the cowbell has a surface and an edge. So I want to have the surface sound here on the head and the edge sound on the rim. have to make sure that the levels of the cowbell sound are adjusted accordingly to the original cowbell sound. To do that, you are pushing just one time at this knob and this appears. You have to turn off the head and rim function, because otherwise you are pushing or lowering both sounds, but we want to have only one sound. In this case, the top sound is way too loud. When pushing the rim button, you can listen to the rim sound of pad number 5. In this case, it's the top or the head sound, and now it's the rim. And the head sound is way too loud, so we're turning it down with the volume knob. And the very last step is to adjust the threshold, sensitivity and the dynamic range of every individual pad regarding your style of playing with every single pad. For example, with the second snare, I don't want to have the clap sound played when I'm hitting the snare softly. I only want to have it played when I'm hitting the snare loud. So in this case, I have to adjust the threshold. Please let me know in the comments below if you want to learn more about hybrid drumming and modern drumming. If you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe and hit the bell. My name is Frederick. See you in the next videos. Bye.